I wanted to love this grinder. I really tried, but honestly, I'm disappointed. Now, big thanks to Gemilai. I've had a great experience with their Owl espresso machine, and I'm always grateful to test out new coffee gear. But that said, I have to be honest in these reviews. The Molight grinder is well built, it looks premium, and it produces fluffy grinds, but its drawbacks are deal breakers for me. Let's dive in. What works, what doesn't, and whether this grinder is worth it. And before we get into it, please smash that subscribe button, it really helps. Now first up is the build quality. This is where Gemilai gets it right. The Molight feels premium right out of the box. The body is solid, it feels very durable. This could easily pass for something twice the price. It has 60 grind settings and the adjustment wheel has a satisfying click as you turn it. Cleaning is also a breeze. The hopper has a lock which keeps most of the beans in when you remove it for cleaning. Internal parts also detach easily. All of this is awesome. As far as the grind quality, the Molight really surprised me. The grounds came out incredibly fluffy. Now I like to use a WDT tool, which breaks up any clumps in your grind. But with the Molight, it wasn't really necessary. So all of this is a major win. The Molight comes with a built-in portafilter holder so you can grind directly into your basket. It works well with different kinds of 58mm portafilters. Here's the Gemilai Owl portafilter. Here's one for the Hybrew H10 Plus. As you can see, they both work. One nice feature, if you remove the portafilter mid-grind to settle the grounds, the grind and the timer will automatically stop and it'll resume when you put the portafilter back in. Now the timer itself has other issues, but we'll get to that in a minute. I do wish the holder sat a little closer to the chute to make for less spillage, but this is pretty common with these types of grinders. I've been to coffee shops with $1,000 grinders, and you can see by looking at their counter that those also spill over some, so this is not a big deal. If you don't have a 58mm portafilter, you can always use the included cup. Just know that if you do use it, you'll either need to grind manually or you'll have to keep it pressed down on this button here to keep the grinds going if you're using the time mode. Those are the two modes that the Molight grinder has, the manual and the time grinding. And this is where the problems begin. The timer mode is very inconsistent. Dialing in any time grinder can be tricky, but with the Molight, the inconsistency makes it very difficult to use. To show you in this footage, I have the hopper filled and the timer set to 18 seconds. The grind size is already dialed in for this bean, so now it's just about getting the output right and the timing right. And in 18 seconds, I get 22.7 grams of coffee. I was aiming for 18 grams. That's the standard for most espresso double shots. So let's knock the time down by 2 seconds and try again. Timer's now set to 16 seconds. The grind setting hasn't changed. But this time I get 23 grams. Slightly more coffee, similar output, even though there's less time on the timer. I tested at least 5 different coffee beans. Some were better than others, but none were consistent. Also, I'm not wild about the size of this hopper. It looks good, but it only holds about 80 grams of beans. That equates to about 4 to 5 double shots if you're using 18 grams per puck. Now Gemilai clearly tried to balance single dosing and multi-dosing in a compact form, but as a result it doesn't really nail either. In the end, you get a hopper that's not practical for anyone who likes to load up and just forget about it. Now if you're single and you only drink one a day, this might not bother you. My wife and I drink multiple cups of coffee a day, so we would be refilling it daily. Because of this, I'd recommend using the Gemilai in manual mode only and as a single dose hopper. But even as a single dose hopper, the Molight has some issues. It specifically struggles with some dark roast beans, probably because some dark roast beans are more oily. Now, to be fair, the Molight isn't the only grinder that struggles with oily beans, but in this price range, many other grinders don't have that issue, or at least not to this extent. When single dosing, I often found dark roast beans would get stuck, either here in the hopper, and I had to bang the machine hard just to push every last bean through, or in some cases, beans would even jam here. When this would happen, no amount of banging would get the beans unstuck. A bellows pump attachment might solve some of this. I did see a few online, including on eBay, but since the Molight doesn't come with one, I can't let that factor into my review. I've owned many different types of grinders over the years, and I've never had one that struggled in this way with darker, oilier beans. Now, what about medium or light roast beans, or even beans that are smaller in size? Those worked a lot better. Retention was pretty minimal with these types. I still had to bang the machine a bit, but that's not super uncommon, and I didn't run into stuck beans like I did with dark roast. As mentioned, a bellows pump would definitely help. If you're going to get this grinder, this is the way to go. But in the end, it's tough to recommend a grinder that only works well in one of its two modes and struggles so badly with certain types of dark roast coffee beans. For $230 that Gemilai is asking for, there are other grinders out there that don't have these types of issues. This makes the Molight hard to recommend, and that's a shame because its grinds are fluffy, the build quality is solid, and this would have been a great pairing with their Owl espresso machine. But in the end, it becomes a missed opportunity. But thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you agree or if you've had a different experience with this grinder, and be sure to subscribe for more coffee reviews and content.